take it any longer, I hope. You're going to tell us that on November 6th?
Well, I hope so, too. Now, you wrote an article, Beanbag Diplomacy. I read that carefully and learned some things. I should have known this before, but I did not realize that Janet Napolitano was a beauty queen in Siberia at one time, and then all the Siberians left. But the fact is that she mandated that our Border Patrol officers fire a beanbag round before they could fire a live round, and that led directly to the death of Terry, Officer Terry. So, you know, we're seeing in Benghazi, we had unarmed Libyans as our security, hired by a firm with, you know, 30 or 40 seconds of experience. And of course, our guards at the first sign of trouble, you know, did a quick step and joined the rebels and let them know exactly where our people were, which led to their deaths. Am I close?
That's exactly what I understand happened as well. And our Marines that were assigned to, quote, protect the embassy and the ambassador were victim of that same nonsense. You would think that after, 50 years or so back in Beirut, we had unarmed Marines at an installation, and a terrorist came bebopping in and shot the place up, and it took them forever to get into a position to be able to do anything because they were disarmed too. What in the world are we thinking when we have a military base? No bullets allowed? Hello. That's like telling the cook, okay, but no food allowed tonight.
Well, I actually think it's because they think that one of our secretaries of defense or the vice president or the president might show up, and they're afraid our military people might whack them. That's just a thought, but probably a cogent one. Chief?
Well, if you really look at the history of how the liberals act, they have a disdain for police and law enforcement in general and our military. And so they're more willing to sacrifice them than to penalize the other side who is really against America. And that's where the whole thing, in my mind, boils down to. The liberals hate America. They're on the side of people that hate America, which is not our police and not our military.
Now, Larry, let's go into what happened in Libya.
Convinced that, well, whether it's Libya or whether it's Arizona, the liberal mentality says it's offensive for us to show that we are prepared to defend ourselves. That's provocative. And that's why they insist on these horribly dangerous disarmed defender rationales that they impose on whether it be the Border Patrol or the Libyan embassy guards. It's the same thing. Self-defense doesn't work. It only leads to more violence. Therefore, we must be disarmed. And every time it blows up in their face, they simply go back to repeat the same mantra.
Well, we could talk about under Clinton, when we had the war in Bosnia. Most people don't know this. We didn't allow our troops to be armed except when they were going into a specific event to go kill Christians. And regular sport over there was for the Muslims to take one of our female soldiers, fully dressed in battle armor, knock them down and rape them, and then help them to get dressed again, and they weren't even allowed to complain. Did you know that?
That's what Muslims do. And that to send a woman into a combat zone where there are Muslims, ask this Lara Larson, I think her last name is,
Logan.
of South
Logan.
Africa.
Logan?
The reporter that was raped. She has become, it seems to me, a very articulate opponent of Islam. She understands, albeit the hard way, that these are terrible people when they're motivated by that religion.
All right, let's get back and talk about Libya for a moment. You know, the big talk is that Hillary Clinton has fallen on her sword to protect Obama. There are 2, maybe 3 morons in the world that accept that. The fact is, Obama's an arrogant, ignorant, illiterate, deviant individual who'd rather go around looking at cardboard cutouts of himself than do the job of the president, and he didn't have a clue what was going on. their claim that they didn't know is utter nonsense. They had someone watching it live as it was unfolding, and they're claiming they weren't informed. It's irrational. But tonight, the question is, will Obama take the position he didn't know the gun was loaded, and therefore he's not responsible for shooting those innocent civilians?
We know so much about what happened now that I'm very hopeful that Romney will take advantage of some of that and put the president on the defensive. They can prep him all they want, but when the truth collides with Obama, he's going to have a tough time because there is no good explanation. He can try one of their lies, but then hopefully Romney will call Obama out and say, that is not what happened.
By the way, I guess you heard that now in England, they have made it illegal to sell magazines to people under the age of 14, gun magazines. Now, I don't mean magazines that go into a gun. I mean magazines with pictures of guns. That's now against the law. You've heard that?
I have, and I didn't see that there was any prohibition on selling underage kids girly magazines, just magazines that might show something about guns. We can't have their minds soiled by something as risque as a gun.
Well, of course, as long as the girly magazines are accompanied by a wannabe girly magazine, then, of course, it would help them to be balanced in their approach to perversion. Chief?
Well, two things. First of all, Larry, thank you for what you do, because the greatest tool to save our freedom is the ability to own firearms. So your efforts to protect that are wonderful. But if you look at both these stories, so in any country, England included, if they can keep guns away from the citizens, they can control the citizens better. And also think about the girly magazines. Girly magazines help destroy the family, which they like to do that also.
And of course, many on the left have rationalized that pedophilia is simply an expansion of knowledge, and a whole lot of them, not the least of which, in my humble opinion, is Barack Obama, who was, is, and always will be a deviant, who says everything is okay as long as he wants to do it. And yet, if he doesn't want to do it, then none of us should be able to do it, whatever it happens to be, like believe in God and or have rights guaranteed by God. That's unacceptable to him. All right, I want to talk about the election. We don't have a lot of time, but it is the event. We have Reuters coming out saying Obama has regained the lead. Of course, they're plus 12 on Democrats, and they gave him a 1-point lead. The reality is, according to what I'm reading, in anything approaching a poll reflecting what we see out here, and not even the advantage the Republicans have on enthusiasm, that Romney is ahead in every swing state. He's now competitive in Michigan and Pennsylvania, and now New Jersey, they say, is coming into play. What's going to be left? Washington, D.C.?
Washington, D.C., and maybe Massachusetts, although Massachusetts did go once for Reagan, maybe twice. So, yeah, I think it's conceivable now to be wondering if there will be a Reagan-esque election return, a landslide, a massive repudiation of both socialism and stupidity, both of which are increasingly evident in the president's behavior. This is going to have, very likely, down-ticket consequences, and we're going to hopefully see a lot of people that maybe are in second-rung seats that weren't that likely to win in an average year. But if this becomes another 2010, which it very well could be, may already have become, then we're going to see some mighty improvements in the House and the Senate, and who knows how many other races at the state level that Gun Owners of America just doesn't have the resources to track very well. But I think the president is arrogant enough and ignorant enough that he's not easily educated. We're told that after he came off the first debate, he was delighted. He thought he had just cleaned up the floor with Romney. And it took him a while to persuade him that, well, you're right, Mr. President, but look at what the polls are saying, that people are so stupid. They were so misled by Romney, they thought you lost. And so it was only then that he was willing to consent to even be prepared, because he went into the first debate thinking, I am the smartest guy in the room, no matter how many people are in the room, and I don't need to prepare. I am Barack Hussein Obama.
You do that so well. I'm sure you were in that third grade class when that teacher came up with that.
And
all
I
right.
graduated quickly after, yes.
Yes, right afterwards. Chief?
Well, this reminds me of an emergency situation, such as you're in a house on fire. You have to make a choice. You have to stay and die or get out of the house. And so I think now the voters are realizing we have to stay with Obama and die or get out and go with Romney.
Well, now let me talk about something else. This is not funny. I'm not just saying this. There have not been one, not 10, not 100, not 1,000, but thousands of comments from Farrakhan and down to tweets where blacks and or morons that are white and morons that are black have said if Obama loses, they're going to riot. I believe them. I believe that every quote-unquote responsible person in this country, white, black, yellow, red, what did I leave out? That color too. Everyone should understand that if this election is declared for Romney on Tuesday night sometime, that before the sun rises, there'll be people out there rioting, there'll be people out there attacking, there'll be people out there looting, there'll be people out there raping, and you better be prepared. I'm going to be at home, I'm going to have 2 semi-automatic weapons and 1,000 rounds at every single window, and I have 44 windows, and I'm going to be waiting for the first person to start attacking me and mine, and I'm going to take them out. Now, I'm not going to go out and look for any trouble. I don't wish any trouble on anyone. No one's guilty until they do something. But I am not going to be a victim. Your thoughts, Larry?
Well, I can't agree with that because they don't get up that early. It'll be sometime later in the day that they start their trouble. But otherwise, I do agree with your analysis that some of them are likely to try that. And the only thing that strikes me is they had better stay in their own neighborhoods and afflict themselves the way they have in the past, because if they do come out to where you live and where I live, it's not going to work out so well.
Well, I live in an integrated neighborhood, and I don't think you're guilty if you're black, and I don't think you're innocent if you're white. We have seen Occupy Wall Street, primarily white morons. We have seen other groups that are primarily black morons, but the reality is, I mean, there's a big stink in one city where a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old were knifed to death. And everyone would say, well, someone's killing kids. Well, these kids, along with 8 or 10 of their buddies, were out, whatever they call it these days, playing knockout or something. They had broken the arm of 2 young girls. Yeah. They went to attack this guy, and guess what? He said, up yours, and he killed them both and went on about his business.
Yeah, they don't even know who it was. How cool is that?
Well,
he doesn't have any legal fees.
They caught him now. They caught the guy. But the fact is, the guy said, I'm just defending myself. They attacked me. I didn't attack them. And I didn't have time to check their birth certificate. They came attacking me. I defended myself.
He's assuming they had a birth certificate, of course.
And had an idea who their daddy or their mother was. I know that. But the reality is, there have been thousands of these incidents, and our media is not covering them. They're not telling us that we've got blacks out there attacking whites because they're white.
Yeah, there's a fellow, I think his name is Flaherty. I've interviewed him on my Gun Owners News Hour some time ago, and he's written a whole book compiling one episode after another, and maybe one got into the media, maybe 2 or 3, but when they got into the media, there was never a mention that all of these episodes were black on white, and most of them, not only did they have all the characteristics of a group of blacks beating up on 1 or 2 whites, but most of them also are reported to have been instances where the blacks were saying, get whitey, or something equivalent to that. So clearly racially motivated. just out to find a random white guy or gal and beat the snot out of them. And so if somebody needed a reason to keep and bear arms, they couldn't think of one before hearing about this. Hopefully this might be a game changer.
Well, let's not forget, too, that Eric Holder said he won't prosecute black people for committing voting violence crimes. So if this is considered a voting violence crime, even after the election, then those minority people will be exempt from prosecution.
Federal.
Federal prosecution,
he actually
that's
went
true.
further. He said he is not going to violate any brother.
Yeah, and also, what you talked about earlier, Stan, this will be a good opportunity for me to say that the voting places, the people in charge of voting places that are critical to the election, they should secure those places very well, make sure those votes are secured after the election, because that violence could be a ruse to get into those places and destroy those voting materials.
You know, it's a scary time in America, and I know there are a lot of people who have gotten very aware and awake, but the reality is in a number of states, you can't even arm yourself without violating the law. And if there are 10 of them and one of you, I don't care who you are, and it doesn't even make much of a difference who the 10 of them are, your odds of prevailing are minimum to none. The great equalizer for the woman against the man, for the elderly against the young, for the small against the large, is a firearm, right or wrong, Larry?
That is absolutely the advice that I think we should give people, that if the law makes self-defense with a gun illegal and you have seen these signs of trouble, then decide which you're more afraid of. A prosecution where you might be actually vindicated by a jury, or a trip to the hospital, or worse still, the morgue.
Well said. All right. Romney has sued to extend absentee voting for overseas military because in every Democrat-controlled environment, they are flat out not sending ballots to the military. They're trying to disenfranchise our military, who, by the way, by more than 2-1, or for Romney. It's an outrage. It's egregious. It's in your face, and yet no one seems to be willing to stand up. And I'm sure the judges will say it's too late to do anything.
This is something where the Obama administration has been very plain. They're actually taking legal action against states like Arizona that want you to prove that you're a citizen in order to be able to vote. What an outrage to think that we would keep a Russian or a Chinese from voting in a United States election. What? No other country would do that, right? Let me tell you, you'd go to jail in Mexico if you were there without a passport and they found you without that passport, let alone try to vote in one of their elections. They're serious about maintaining the integrity of their elections. I've thought for some time, after I've seen how the Mexicans run their elections, we would be well advised to just simply say, be it enacted for the next election, we're going to do everything the way the Mexicans do it.
Stan, I want to tell you, I posted on my Facebook page earlier today, and this is what I put. If you support our military, you need to support Mitt Romney for president. If you don't support our military, go to hell.
I like that. And by the way, I will pitch in for the trip. I will buy the rubber band for the slingshot and just aim down. If you happen to run into a rock on the way, so be it. All right. Let us go to the fact that in the rural, let's translate rural, in the overwhelmingly white counties, throughout the battleground states, and probably throughout the United States, but this was done in the battleground states, Romney is ahead 59-37. Now, to quote our president, that sounds like a shellacking being prepared, because tar and feathers are more expensive. Now, we know that in the rural areas, you only get to vote once. In some of the urban areas, you can vote several times. And in fact, you can vote whether or not you're alive or whether or not you're an American. Everyone knows Republicans have to win beyond the margin of cheating. It's become politically known. Can you talk about that, Larry?
You have put your finger on something that might sound a little dry and sterile, talking about different kinds of laws and how they might apply. And whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, if you read a book, say, Who's Counting by John Fund, who, among other things, writes for the Wall Street Journal, he lays out exactly how your vote can be stolen, how somebody can go vote for you, say, at 6:30 in the morning, and you come bebopping in around 9, and, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Pratt, but you've already voted today. And you know what? Unless there was somebody there to challenge the illegal vote at the time it happened, that's it. You're finished. There's no way to you can report the irregularity, but there's no way to undo it. And a lot of the cheating can be done that way. These cheats look over the history that somebody has of voting and not voting, and this guy doesn't vote in primaries, or this guy hasn't voted in the last 5 years. So, and of course, a state should take your name off if you haven't voted after in the last 4 years. But in any case, that's not being done, especially with pressure from the Obama Justice Department, because, hey, how can you steal votes if you can't vote people that are dead or have moved? Come on, man, you can't take our advantage away from us. And so the Justice Department has been in defense of every conceivable means of voter fraud, and then they turn around and say that wanting to require an ID to be shown when you vote is the suppression of the vote? Oh, really? And so when I have to show a driver's license to get on a plane, is that suppressing flight? When I have to show my driver's license to do many, many, many things
How about
in life,
get a library card? Is that suppressing reading, literacy?
Exactly.
All right, we're out of time. Larry, we're out of time. Give folks a place to go to get signed up for your bulletins.
Gunowners.org, and we do want you to get those bulletins because we'll not only tell you what is happening, but how you can do something about it with a built-in email in that alert that we'll send out. So go to gunowners.org, and you'll be part of our citizens lobbying group.
God bless you, and thanks for your great work.
Thank you, Stan. Thanks for what you're doing. And you
We all do what we can. All right, folks, we'll have Major General Jerry Curry shortly. Stay tuned. You have a computer, if you're alive today, which means you have a hard drive, which means it's going to break down. Mosey, the backup people, for thousands, for Stan, for thousands of people, for tens of thousands of people, is simply common sense. You go to cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and sign up. It's just a few dollars a month. Let me tell you something. We had a break-in. They stole our whole computer. You know what? When they take the computer, you can't recover anything, but we had Mosey. We had the backup. We were able to restore everything simply by buying another computer. cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and give yourself common sense, peace of mind, great value, the best thing you've ever done. Sooner or later, it's going to be Mosey, the backup people. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependence, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com, check it out. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item, and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. Let me ask you a question. Do you like being sick? I have in my hand an incredible product. It's called TR10 Supercolloidal Silver. TR10 stands for a trace to the negative 10th power. The particles in this silver product are 6 to 8 angstroms, 6 to 8 10 billionths of a meter. Now listen to me. Silver has been the magic bullet for all of human existence. The Egyptians used silver instruments. We use silverware. They put silver in your teeth because nothing can grow on silver. Silver will kill anything but liberalism. I'm working on that. This product, you go to cpnlive.com, buy 1 quart of this product. It will last you for a very long time. Anytime you feel like you've been exposed to something bad, take some of this product, spray it in your mouth, or take a little bit and gargle it, swallow it. It will kill any pathogen. The average antibiotic kills 10 to 20 different pathogens. This product will kill 700 plus. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do your doctor a favor. He's tired of seeing you. Get Supercolloidal Silver. Go to cpnlive.com, order the product. It's $29.95 plus shipping. I think it's $39.95 delivered any place in America right to your door. It's worth 10 times that. Check it out. If you're not 100% happy, just return it and we'll give you your money back.